Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. What's going on, beautiful people? Happy Saturday, January 24th. It is cold as hell. Yeah, it's cold as hell. And yeah, that's pretty much that on that. I mean, maybe we need to close it out right there. Until next time, peace. That is the message. Oh shoot. Anyway, as you can see, we oh no, seriously though, it's like the entire nation is in a deep freeze, and there's so much I could say about that, but I'm not going to right now. I'm in the Northeast New Jersey specifically, and we are ultimately preparing for the aftermath of the storm that I guess is expanding from the south and the Midwest on over and up, something like that, or it's just that massive. I'm not really sure exactly, but if you're not in those areas, I'm not sure how affected you may be. But the way that it's being reported and covered is like the whole nation is having a snowstorm or an ice storm or some type of extreme climate change that is, putting everything on the, it's given very much shut down energy in the way that it's being projected and covered. Of course, not on a global scale, but that's the energy that it feels like. Oh, prepare this, it could be the aftermath of having gone through such an extreme experience. Is that people are kind of transferring that level of anxiety to this. I don't know, but when I went shopping, there's sort of that energy. I've seen it in different videos where people are like panic buying and stuff like that. And I definitely made sure we had what we needed if, in fact, we're going to be locked in for a few days, or at least to not have to go anywhere if we don't have, if we don't need to. But it wasn't a panic, it was easeful for the most part. And it wasn't anything that I didn't need already. So I don't know, it's just strange. I don't know if you're in this area, and if you are, I'm sure you experience it, or any place that's supposed to be deeply impacted. But for me, for the most part, I'm just, it's like an excuse not to go anywhere. Sure, why not? Everybody's staying in, no problem. And the snow hasn't even hit yet. I think it's coming tonight and then all through Sunday, and I think a little on Monday. It's the cold temperature that's got me though, because that's the part that does affect me inside, because you can feel the difference of when it's just a regular cold and when it's a frigid cold inside my home, which is normally hot anyway. So when I got to start turning on space heaters and actually putting on outside, not literal outside clothes, but like sweatpants and stuff like that, it's cold as hell outside. It just is. So anyway, I hope you're staying safe and warm no matter where you are, warm inside, if nothing else. It's 4:28 on the clock. And again, I didn't even get to this part, but as you can see, I got 2 decks out. I really was feeling drawn to use the Intuitive Kev's iKev Tarot deck. But then when I went to reach for it, I picked up the Kipperish. So I was like, okay, all right. I was rolling with that. And then I got inspired to use the tarot deck first and then maybe clarify with the Kipperish. So that's what we're going to do. All right. Let's get to it. No more small talk. All right, let's see. I'm gonna have that extra deck one of these days. I think I just put the link to his last time I used these cards. I always post them in the description where you can get it, but I just posted his Etsy page because at the time that I went there, it was I think it wasn't available. Like he goes on breaks and stuff, I guess, when things sell out or whatever. it shuts down for a minute, and then that'll always be the location where you can buy them though. So if you want to, you can. And by the way, these do Five of Pentacles in reverse. I think that's a good thing. Let's see. We don't want broke, sick, depressive, scarce energy. So I like that. Some of these, what I was going to say is, by the way, some of these are reversed because of how I shuffled them a couple readings ago. They're reversed. So I've decided to just keep it that way. Because if you know, my readings very rarely have reversals. So I figured it'd be a little more dimension to just start with however the deck is for this particular deck. And then Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles. That's like work or some type of collaboration. And then Vampire? Oh no. But just so you know, I am, when I'm putting them back in the deck, I'm putting them back upright. So that means, slowly but surely the deck will return to its upright state. But whatever comes out reverse is what it is for now, just so you know. Vampire, energy vampire. Five of Pentacles. I can't wait to clarify that because I'm wondering, I hope that's not worse than not being broke, and actually even more. I just feel like the opposite would be, I don't know, but sometimes when you get negative cards in the reverse, it I don't know, sometimes it could be even worse than what the original position would have been. Magician, what the fuck is going on here? Hold up, this is way too many. A vampire and a magician in the same space, God forbid it be the same person, is already a glaring red flag. I mean, pledge allegiance to that motherfucker is, ooh. So this is, so what I'm feeling is like this Five of Pentacles in reverse is really getting me, but it's like some dark association, crew, society, maybe not. It feels more so like folks that have some type of common interest. They work together for something, but it feels very dark with the vampire and the magician. But what's happening with this Five of Pentacles in reverse? Is this what's being, I feel like this is the prey of this, let's say, cult group. Let's just say group, because I don't know. But when you got a vampire and a magician, it feels very cultish to me. Like these might be the heads of some type of crew or organization, or this might be the energy within that crew. Like everybody's on some other type dark diabolical stuff. Magic manipulation and nefarious acts that put people in, consider this the worst, the Five of Pentacles in reverse, in the worst possible case, where it's like you're not meant to survive something. It's not even a possibility of a chance, an escape, relief, refuge. Like think about the Five of Pentacles card. Like there is some glimmer of hope there. It's just like somebody's not experiencing that in the present moment. But in reverse, it feels like folks are this group is preying on the innocence You know what it's giving me? It's like preying on folks that don't know that they have wealth. And they look for people either that have special gifts, talents, or some type of financial affluence or whatever, like whatever the quality or advantage might be that someone possesses. It's like there are energies that seek that high seek out what they believe is high vibrational or profitable energies, especially through by way of people, and they siphon their fortunes from them. Again, whether it be their energy, their time, their attention, their support, their I just hear like belief, or like something about believing in people or people believing in them or something like that, like some type of allegiance. I like that word, allegiance. Could be also something being siphoned. And it's the Five of Pentacles, which is throwing me, I think, is because it may not be, I think it's because the people don't know that they're being drained. So they may not know. It's in reverse because it's people that start with a great deal of fortune and facility on their own, faculties on their own, and then before they know it, well after they realize it, I would say, they end up being depleted to damn near nothing. Like by the time this group or this association or this agenda, whatever this is done with them, they pretty much, it's like turning somebody upside down to shake out their pockets. That's the type of energy is going on here. It's collaborative, it's collective, it's a collusion more than it is creative, co-creative, but it's all for like they're all splitting the bounty more or less, or the booty, let's say. The booty, child. Random words that mean so much. Yeah, it's a lot going on here. And the person here is like, you might think you're in good company, or you think you're pledging yourself or associating yourself to a group that is well-meaning. Like there's some glamour going on here where it looks like something on the outside, but it's very different once you become a part of it. But you won't know until it's like almost completely seeped into your life or your spirit, or you won't even realize like how much you're deteriorating or changing for the worst, or being deeply, I would say in this case, like infected more than affected, until you're damn near on your last leg. And some may not ever know where it's coming from. Some may actually expire, unfortunately, or retire from the group or whatever. Like I'm getting the sense that there's some lack of ignorance with this Five of Pentacles, that either this group is preying on, or that's just the nature of this beast that is this group, is that you will have no clue how you're being completely pecked to oblivion until there's nothing left of you, pretty much, where somebody may be out of their mind, or may have lost their sense of logic or groundedness. They may actually be sick. They may have lost a great deal materially. So many things, but somebody definitely has taken a great loss on account of how they have associated themselves or allowed themselves to be given access to themselves. Yeah, Eight of Swords. Like, what? Eight of Swords. And I guess the other interesting thing about this is, since I don't usually have reversals, is what is actually reversed is almost like, you know, a mini message in itself. Like, why I keep getting stuck on that card is because I don't know what that means, and there's the ignorance. I don't know. Now I do. But at first it's like, well, does this mean somebody is rich? Maybe they were. This means somebody is abundant, prosperous? Maybe they were. But once you get ran through, child, again, once you get ran through this crew, you ain't no more. You're disempowered. Somebody might be going to jail or facing some type of penalties for, again, their associations, maybe guilty by association, or even that, like this group, like I said, somebody could have been a part of something that they didn't even know was something else. And now the aid of this, again, guilty by association, someone may actually have been innocent or ignorant about the underworkings, the underworld of some particular, let's say, corporation, business, again, association that they were a part of. And they really didn't have it, they weren't really as invested in it as those that had intentions behind it, but it doesn't mean that they won't have some type of consequence or effect anyway. Just because that, again, that's the nature of the beast, because somewhere along the line, there would have been expected to be an awareness of something being off. Like spirit always gives you the intel. It's just a matter of like how much muck and mire it has to go through so that you actually connect with it or receive it, believe it, and react and respond. Because that could be the other thing too. You could hear it, you could recognize it, but still be slow to respond. And then, this is the thing. So that's why it's like, it might be unfortunate how bad someone is getting caught up on account of how much they actually were innocent. Maybe not in totality, but for the worst of it. However, someone is also being persecuted because, well, let's not say persecuted. What's the right? Maybe processed, I guess. Because best case scenario, somebody is being processed so that they can sharpen their intuition and their reactionary skills to recognize, something that's not good and excuse themselves or disconnect from it before it's too late. Worst case scenario, it's someone that is being persecuted, especially if they actually knew exactly what was going on and they were invested in it just as much, like just as equally as these Three of Pentacles. And they just didn't know that they were actually, a victim as well or something. That could be the other thing. Somebody may have thought, I keep saying investment, so it could be somebody thinking that they're an equal partner in something or equally vested in something, and only to find out that they really weren't. They were a pawn, or again, they were a part of the plot to be victimized or something. Like they were just some part of the ulterior motive, maybe an intricate piece of the ulterior motive, but they weren't as what's the right word? They weren't as like, it's like somebody thinking they're in on some business deal equally. Like everybody is getting the same amount or whatever, like everybody is equally benefiting from whatever this endeavor is, only to find out that no, they're just using, this is real simple, practical, they're just using you for your access or your money or your influence. Like there's something valuable that somebody had or has that makes them important to some degree, but not in the ways that they have been glamored to believe that they are, if that makes sense. It's like, yeah, they need you or they want something that you have, but you're still going to end up being on the chopping block, discarded once they get what they need is the idea. All right, so let me go because I really want to get to the Kipperish. hater. Damn. Negative as hell. this shit. Hold on. Let's see where we ended with this. Ooh, 9 of Wands. So that's terrible, man. 9 of Wands. Yeah. Somebody that thought. They thought. They fucking thought. But that was not the case. Clearly. Let me fix this card. This one's a little bent. So it's sticking up. I love these cards. I really do love his decks. And the way that I'm seeing them like taking over, it'd be people, random people. And I'm like, you know him? I mean, he has a lot of subscribers, but like I have a hodgepodge of creators on my subscribe list. You know, like I like all types of energies. But sometimes I'll be like, you? Okay. That's the thing about the spiritual community. It really can be colorblind in some ways. It's much more energetically focused than it is race. Sometimes the race in the gender stuff slides in there, but I think it's being filtered out even now more than ever before on account of our common, you know, goals and agenda, which is just to live well. You know, like it really shouldn't be that hard, you know, for everybody to be able to live well. You want what's best for you. I want what's best for me. If we can meet in the middle, so be it. If we can have some impact or effect on that for one another, awesome. But if not, that's okay too. And you can exist in your space and I exist in mine. But it won't be any love loss. It won't be, you know, any cause for alarm or defense or anything like that. It's just coexistence, you know. These are not folks that are keen on that concept. They prey on those that are keen on that concept, or so they would like to. But they're finding that so that they're finding that their prime targets are not as available, you know, like the quality of their prime target is not as easily accessible as it used to be. Which would again be that higher frequency of energy, gifts, knowledge, money, abundance, affluence, like all of the great stuff that you would want, talent, you know, that you would want to have access to if you feel like you don't have it on your own, or you just see something that you desire of someone else's, or you see something that you don't want somebody else to have. This is that energy here. You got one scryer here that's looking to like seeking out the opportunities or seeking out the targets, the next, you know, the next mark. And then you got this vampire here who feels more like kind of like a general or some type of leadership figure, maybe, or somebody that has some type of directive power or pull or influence, say so, that is calling the shots. But I feel like this vampire, he's snatched, he's well dressed, and all, like, aside from the teeth and the eyes, you might not really notice that nature of him. So that's why I know it's something very deceptive about this group, because on sight you would just never think that there's any cause for alarm or alert. You would think you'd be right. Like, you might think you found your tribe, you know, like my people, where we all just want to share resources and help each other. Okay. So this is definitely heavy on that, because I just said all that stuff I just said about people that want to generally live a good life and see others live a good life. That's the facade. Like, we're all a family here. We're all pulling our resources so that we can grow, so that we can help each other advance and, you know, get to our life's mission faster, like more accelerated if we're all together. But really, this group ain't collectively accelerating a damn thing but their own interests. They're looking for those that want to be a part of a community such as that. That sounds good, you know, but this ain't that, you know. So they're hooked, you know, onto that idea. Even with this like shrub, like this outdoor space, it gives very much so like off-grid silo community living type of energy, like cult. Not all communities that like that are a cult, but this is what I'm getting from this one, that it's not, it's not, it's not pure. It's not pure. It's being presented as if everybody is winning and everybody is equal and we love everybody and we want to see everybody achieve, but really we just want to take everything that you have, dump it into our pot, which is this collective pot. But really what they don't even get is that they're also being siphoned for their contributions of, you know, where this community that collectively is in agreement to victimize others is also being victimized by the leaders of this community. So everybody's in spiritual imprisonment, whether they know it or not, by their own actions and also again by their associations. Everybody's a hater in this group. It's the human haters club instead of the man haters club. What was that? Who? Oh no, that was a woman haters club. I think that was is that right? No, that wasn't what it was called. But I'm thinking at first I was thinking of I don't know why, the Little Rascals for some reason, because I thought they had like some type of man haters or something club. But then I saw a flash of Al Bundy and the little group, the little collective group that he had with the men. I forget what the No Ma'am, I think it was. What was the hold on? Now I gotta know, because that was a fucking hilarious show. Y'all know it was. If you were from that time, even if you weren't, you could probably still go back and be entertained. All right, Al Bundy's Man Club. I think it was called No Ma'am. Let's see. Yes, No Ma'am. National Organization of Men Against. Oh, what? Against Amazonian Masterhood. What? That is not what I thought that was at all. Men Against Amazonian Masterhood. I guess being ruled by, they always had this issue about on that show about big women. He always had confrontations with big women. But I don't understand. The group meets to watch TV, drink beer, and escape their wives, often at their favorite hangout called the Jiggly Room. No Ma'am was that. So I just love that name. That's hilarious. All right. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I mean, maybe it could be some type of woman haters club. Shoot, could be both. A mixture of woman haters and man haters, but they see the value in each other and how they exploit that. And so they come together for that common cause and nothing more. But low key, ain't no honor amongst thieves, you know? So join and participate. Well, I guess I should just say enter at your own risk. All right, let's see what the kick rate is talking about. Oh, we're doing great on time. Ooh, shit. Oh, man. Commitment. Oh, and I just turned it over. Y'all saw that? Yeah, I know you did. I mean, it was kind of like struggling anyway on my hand, but I just literally turned it over. That's crazy. Commitment. So there's some type of commit, but that's probably the nature of it. It's like so many things I can say about that. First of all, again, as I said, someone had signs to know that this wasn't the commitment to make. This wasn't the place to devote their time, but they did it anyway. So now somebody could have actually married someone within, and that be the initiation into some type of organization, known or unknown. Because I realized I had a message a while ago, and it was something about a mom. Was it a mom? It was. I think it was the Empress. It was something about like parents in general, mom or dad, more or less initiating themselves into something that ultimately fell upon the children. Like the consequences of that action, that choice, had deep impacts on their offspring. And it's like, duh, but also it's like, well, this is a choice I want to make. And what I saw later is that there was also the Hierophant, because I was like, well, why and how would they do that? And it made sense to me. It was through marriage. Like, imagine you marry someone, again, here it is. You think they're one thing, but you don't know. Like, could have been somebody well put together, well dressed, mannerly, says all the right. Look at him. Look at him here. Look at him here. It's the same type of energy. Well, he has a mustache. He doesn't. But it's like, this is what they thought they married, but they had no idea that they were actually initiating themselves and immersing themselves into something very dark. And that could be as practically as just like not knowing how distorted or disturbed your in-law situation could be, to to literally, marrying someone that you think is one way, but they actually are the complete opposite, or have a whole nother side of them. And you may or may not ever get to know that. You may not ever get to see it. Here's the other. Remember, I was saying, like, before it's all said and done, you'll be so depleted that you don't even know what happened. It would take you so much energy and intention to get to the root of why your life has or is taking a certain turn. And some would never connect it back to a moment such as this, which is supposed to be so happy and lovely and special, to someone that you think has your best interest at heart. It's like literally marrying the enemy or sleeping with the enemy, and you have no clue till the very bitter end that was who was behind your demise the whole time. Or being friends with the crew and not knowing until you're down and out, maybe down on your luck, or that you never had a friend at all. It's much deeper than that, obviously, but on any level, it's unfortunate and traumatizing. Especially single, sexy, and successful. And is, this isn't the Jezebel card, because I think there actually is one, if not in this deck, in the other one. But yeah, but anyway, this is definitely given like someone that is highly attractive, alluring, and again, has a lot going for themselves. And this could be masculine or feminine, but this is just the card that's depicting the energy of what ultimately is the mark of this community. They look to marry themselves or attach themselves to folks that have great promise, great potential, or already have a great establishment of their own, and get their buy-in, their commitment, their devotion to, again, thinking that they're investing in this great, almost utopian experience, utopian secret society is how it presents itself. But, and that alone is an innocent intention, if that's all it is. I don't know. I feel like when you get to the Eight of Swords, you know, the good thing about the Eight of Swords is that you might feel defeated or feel like you have no way out, but it's definitely not the case with the Eight of Swords. There's some exit, or there's some resolution here that maybe you just can't see, or you haven't had the courage to enact yet, or whatever the case may be. But the point is that it's not a fatal blockage, or like, you know, like it's not irreversible, you know, or binding to the point where you're doomed forever. It shouldn't be. It can be if you allow it to be, but it isn't in nature, you know. So with this single, sexy, and successful always gives me Nine of Pentacles card. So imagine that, Three of Pentacles, where people are looking at your Nine of Pentacles and like, damn, you know what I could do with all that? Man, look. And then they get other people involved, like, look at that over there. Like, wouldn't it be nice if we had all that and we could, you know, we could just split it. You know, if you help me do this and this, we could just split, you know, the profit or whatever. It's definitely groups of people that can't operate on their own. They need collaborative effort. You know, they need some type of assistance or support. So they lure others in with the pentacle, with some type of you know, promise to come up or profit, to help their, you know, to help their to support their agenda. But the folks that they are targeting are really none the wiser. But what I was saying earlier, I don't think I fully finished that thought, is that, again, the pool of targets is getting lower in quality, because those that are of high quality are not a lot, you know, that are a little bit more aware of themselves, their surroundings, that are a little less needy to be in a dependent situation, or a codependent one, or even in a communal one, you know, like they're, again, single and successful on their own, and they don't really need that level of inclusion or validation. And if you don't need that, then there's really nothing. And also the other part, if it's not, if you don't have a particular price for something that you don't desire, then you can't be bought. You can't be persuaded or glamored. Yeah, remember the vampire? That's always a thing with vampires too. That what's it called? Is it called glamored? What was it in the Vampire Diaries, when they would compelled? You can't be compelled. Yeah. Because when you have vervain in your system, usually in most vampire narratives, it makes you immune to a vampire period. You know, like they usually won't bite you because, well, this is, of course, the story. They can't bite you if it's in your system, and also they can't compel you if it's in your system. So it's something about that here, where folks that are not as easily convinced or compelled are also, you know, less accessible. So that means the pool of resources to divvy up, to share, are a lot less as well, because now the group is having to lower their recruitment specifications, or whatever, I don't know, what are their qualifications, to something a lot less sustainable, usually, I would say, and probably less profitable too in many ways as well. Yeah, but anyway, let's go. Let's keep going. Could also even be a breakup, because we're going from commitment to single and successful, single, sexy, and successful. No, just, I guess, a side note. I don't know. Could be a breakup of a couple or a breakup of the group itself. Like every man for himself. Nobody's really as devoted as they used to be to the mission or the agenda or the big payout. Maybe the morale is low because the big payout ain't really paying out like it was promised or like it was anticipated. Again, because there's not the quality of resources or whatever is just not there. That's way too many. These cards are such a challenge to shuffle for me. Okay. Concern, yeah. There's that. I don't think I need to say no more on that. Could be a lot of concern. False documents. Please help. Poverty? Jesus. False documents. So I don't know. This could be... hold on. Let me look. Oh, I didn't even really look at the top. I'm just kind of clarifying the overall reading, but I should have been looking more at the card above it, shouldn't I have? All right, Twin Flame. Oh, shoot, Twin Flame. Oh, let me see who's on the bottom. Awakening. Awakening. Well, we know them Twin Flames can do a number on your awakening better than anything and anyone, can't they? So-called Twin Flames. If that's what they even are. False flame, twin flame, whatever the hell it presents itself to be. You may not be able to see these decks on the side, but when I crop it, but I'm just straightening them up anyway. All right. Some type of false documents. Maybe somebody wasn't really married, but they thought they were. Or again, they thought they married someone that they really weren't. That really wasn't who they thought they were, and that all the everything, the false I'm saying false documents, but that's just what the image says. It just says false. So there's something about either this union that is false, the paperwork about this union that is false, some documentation. It could even be some type of like, what they call that, like a romance scammer. Shit, they could all be. That could be the thing, the clincher, is that it's like a cult of romance scammers who they just look to find marks and then they send out their best girl or guy, and you know, it's like, all right, if that don't click, then we'll try another one, and we'll try, you know, until they can kind of get somebody on the hook to again have that unlimited access to them to have their way, whatever their way is, that they all then can live off of or eat off of, suck off of. Yeah, damn vampires. So this false document, but who's this in poverty? I don't know. I mean, it's under the Eight of Swords, which I feel is directly correlated to the folks that are that find themselves, well, everybody, as I said, but that find themselves and hooked up into this thing and don't realize the damage that it's doing to them, whether they mean to do damage to others or they have a pure intention, whatever the case may be. Because I'm getting a sense of like layers and tiers of this situation, like a pyramid scheme, if you will, you know, of scammers. Look, there's almost in a pyramid right here of scammers that on different levels, like everybody has their role or their goal or their contribution, you know, or their special thing that they do that makes them an asset to the whole. And then, of course, they attract and draw in others that they find have an attractive interest to the whole as well. But some, as I say, the marks, most of them probably know nothing, but it probably depends on the courting aspect, or once they get hooked in, so it can be determined like which side of the fence this person falls on. Is this somebody that's going to be added to the collective of the, you know, like the co-conspirators of, you know, the worker bees sort of kind of this organization. You know, somebody that has the type of promise that could contribute to drawing more things, more profit to the cause? Or are we just going to, are you just, you know, a meal, a snack, and we're just going to eat off you and feast off you and throw you away when there's nothing left? And everybody can get that treatment for sure, but like I said, the more it depends on who's, you know, like there's some type of gauge on what type of character you have. Like if you come in like, you know, docile as a little lamb, then we're just going to use you up and send, you know, throw you away. Sorry, you know, oh well type of energy. Sorry, not sorry. But if you got some sinister in you, you got a little evil in you that would probably be determined by, you know, little prods and pokes and things like that, then you could just join the crew. And then once you join the crew, your hands are dirty too. So then you're still caught up in this whole fiasco because now your association has something over your head. So you can't just back out, or it's like blood in, blood out type energy. Literally with the vampire, it's like you can't just back out. You can't just decide, oh, I ain't fucking with y'all, or I'm gonna take my winnings, you know, my wins and keep on moving. Thanks for a great time, but I'm good now. No, you ain't heading on out on this type of crew. They're gonna make it very hard mentally and psychologically, Eight of Swords, for you to even feel like you have an out. And then if you actually do get froggy enough to leap, they got so much on you, so much access to you. They know so much about how you operate, how you think, how you feel, how you move, and what your desires are, that you're just way too vulnerable for attack. So one way or another, you're going to get that work, whether you come in as a sacrifice or you make your way to the top of the food chain. Either way, because the top of the food chain is going to get that work, not just from what they're personally doing, but also for, you know, it's a lot when you're at the head, it's at the top, because now you're responsible for everything that everybody else is doing too. So all of that karma is just going to roll right on up, and everybody's going to get exactly what they deserve. And especially the one at the top that's pulling all of the strings, or the ones at the top that are initiating the whole situation. So anyway, somebody's concerned because I feel like now once they've realized, here's the concern part, they've realized, this is the story pretty much. Once they realize that they're in a really effed up situation and everything they thought was real is false, everything they thought was true is false, and nobody is who you think they are. You might not even be who you think you are. This whole scam is, you know, this whole scam is a sham. And the sham, well, let me see. This whole organization is a sham, and the sham is a scam, if that makes sense. It's like layers to the levels of, you know, bullshit. Bullshit that would have to be sifted through, like to the point where somebody might want to turn around and, you know, like I said, really be froggy enough to make a stand, make a move, react. Might not even know real names of people, or you think you do, but like it's a mind fuck. It's a mind fuck. And like I said, at that point, you've been thrown through such a ringer that you don't know left from right and up from down for yourself, let alone what you see in front of you or what you're in the midst of, on top of the things that you've done to put yourself in a position where you don't feel like you can disassociate. And then you're at this point of poverty, which could be physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, with really no, you know, with really no hope in sight. You know, when you get to a point like this is the Five of Pentacles in the upright. That's it. And the 37 is it reduces to a 10. So it's like you've going through a whole ringer of a cycle, and this is how you're starting your new one in poverty, completely dismantle, having to kind of pick up the pieces, get yourself Nine of Wands, pull yourself together again with very little support, very little energy, certainly not a very bright outlook, you know, and a lot of trauma and like damage taken, as the kids say when they play the games. Like, I took a lot of damage. Like, a lot of damage has been taken on account of this association of haters. No, ma'am. Oh, man, that's probably gonna be the title. I ain't gonna hold you. Anyway, yeah, and then this twin flame thing, and based off of what I channeled about that, kind of casually, with how twin flames can really make a significant impact on your life, like for the better. Twin flame, false flame, however you see that dynamic, usually that's the catalyst to you awakening. Right here, 47, which you probably can't see now, but usually that's the catalyst to your awakening. It's like, like you couldn't have come to an awakening or to an awareness about yourself and your surroundings if not for this very sticky situation. Oh, I forgot the channel song. Like, right before I was about to start, I just started hearing DMX and money cash hold, money cash hold, what? And all I was hearing was DMX. DMX, my dogs bite, jigger, my nigga, rhyme all night, dogs for life, with the X. Dogs for life, yes, yeah, I heard that. But get into the money cash hoes though, like some very carnal, like really, really low frequency desires here. And not that money, cash, maybe even smokes, this is a terrible thing, but it's like this was the exclusive. Hoes is sticking out to me. This was like and I kept talking about like sexual stuff too. So it's like that's the exclusive agenda, regardless of how inflated they may make it seem even to themselves. Like, that's what it comes down to. Just a whole bunch of carnal ass, lusty ass desires that some folks couldn't satisfy themselves enough with from before they had to start then siphoning energy elsewhere. And anyway, like I said, to end on a twin flame, I kind of actually like, and look, it's so funny that it's under hater like that, isn't it? Because as I'm saying, you might have a situation where you don't have, most people do, where they at least initially have don't have the best, or let's say a disappointing twin flame exchange. But when you really think about that shit and you really reflect, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to you once you get past it. Like once you get over a certain, once you get out of your hating energy, if you were in it, but once you feel that like resistant energy, once you get out of that and you start to really reflect, and then also recognize, this is what I'm saying, it's like these are the energies, not many can do this, and this is why these were the energies that were like premium targets of associations such as this, or even individuals such as this, because it could be very much so that than it having to be a collective, but it's the same drive and intention is what it comes down to. And for you to be able to release yourself from the grips of a situation that is, like going back to the twin flame thing, that's not great for you, still go through all the bumps and bruises and everything that came along with it, even the disempowerment, and then find the strength, as I said, to actually leap like a frog, get out of that, free yourself, change your perspective, change your mind, your habits, your what, whatever it is that you, however you freed yourself or released yourself from that situation, even from your thoughts about it, those confining perspectives, victim mentality for one, prime example. So even in a situation like this where you don't feel like anybody owed you anything, or you don't feel vengeful enough that somebody's gonna pay, like they're gonna feel my wrath. Like, no, like you come to the um to the resolution, I suppose, that you always had a choice in the matter from the very beginning to when you started to see things were a little bit off. And when you think about that twin flame situation, there were always signs. When you think hindsight is 2020, yes, but even during the fact, you can reflect and think about the signs that you saw and you said, nah, I just want this. I don't want to give that life. I really want this to be a thing, or a good thing, or a long time thing, or whatever, a one day thing, whatever the glamour and glimmer of hope you may have maintained. Usually it doesn't pan out to be what you think is going to be. It's definitely not in the timing that you hope and wish for it. And so when you come to a situation that kind of acts almost like a twin flame dynamic, that's what this feels. That's what I feel like this is. It's like one of those things where somebody kind of had to hit a rock bottom, or see the underbelly um of these fragmented illusions that we call reality truly is, in order for them to have any chance of awakening truly, and awakening in a way that is sustainable and actual, not just temporary or trendy. Something that really is grounding and that sticks, to help someone with that Nine of Wands like really kind of like gain their strength again. And the Nine of Wands, he may never be whole to the point where he was before that experience. Well, I don't know. I can't say that for sure. But the outlook may be that you might not ever be whole again, but perhaps you will. Perhaps he will. Perhaps it's not, like I said, with the Eight of Swords, it's not final. It's not, a bad ending altogether. It's like, just a transition in a story, perhaps, or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, that's the silver lining that I'm seeing here, is that some folks, had to go through situations, because hell, I've had twin flame energy in my life, for sure. I won't even get into it, but I can definitely testify to how devastating that dynamic can be, but also how transformative it can be, for sure. And like I said, that's why, with all confidence, I stand by, the idea that it had to be a certain type of way, even the worst of things sometimes. Even the worst situation you could go through sometimes was the only thing that would have gotten you to be a better you. So that's what we're looking at here. But, in the meantime, those that have found themselves holding the short end of the stick with that Nine of Wands, you have really got a challenge ahead of them, to shake off that experience in all the worst ways and integrate the lessons that they can glean from it, to become as whole, as healed as possible moving forward. But it was a hell of a it was a doozy. It is a doozy. But anything operating in this frequency, if it isn't already dismantled, is definitely faulty as hell. Like I said, definitely not as profitable as it used to be to operate that way. 5:25 on the clock on my phone, and it's not sustainable. It's not anything that, if it is still in operation, it's not anything that's going to stand the test of time. Not in this era anymore. Like, we've already transitioned to something much higher and brighter than that. So if someone can see them, can dust themselves off enough to weather that transition through those transformations, then I feel like this twin flame card really isn't that bad. It's actually a nice card amidst all this other stuff. I think someone could find, and it really, to me, also is speaking about somebody putting themselves back together, finding their other half where they may have been fragmented and pulling themselves back together again. So it's definitely possible, but it's not any type of small feat at all. Not in this climate. This climate is not conducive. It's icy. Like I started this video, it's cold. This climate is not warm with the grace that we've had, at least in the last, decade or two, where it didn't seem like it, like when you were in the midst of it. But when you look back as to what we're experiencing now, completely different life, completely different experience of life. Even back to me talking about pre-COVID and post-COVID, and how we look at sudden circumstances like a snowstorm or an ice storm or whatever as a state of emergency. And sometimes they truly are, but before it even hits, we're already poised, not even poised, braced for impact, And so like that's the energy of that's the like the frequency that's emitted in the body spiritually and physically when trauma happens, which is why it's not going to be easy coming out of a situation such as this to just bounce back. But it will be rewarding it'll be rewarding for someone to be able to look back and say they bounced back, for someone to really have bounced back and be so wealthy in wisdom for what they bounced back from. And it'll be worth it for those that they can share their experiences with, like the twin flame journey. That saved a lot of lives when people started really, talking through these cards and through other mediums, just sharing their experience so that you don't feel like you're nuts. And you finally have like a safe place to process, what was ultimately very traumatic. No matter what you gained from it, it still was traumatic in the meantime. So, this is someone's twin flame experience. It may have been on account of a commitment, an actual commitment that some have made, that was attached to someone, but it dragged them into a bigger mess, again, with known or unknown, that has had tremendous impacts and implications. And if there's any silver lining, any more of a silver lining, is that with the Nine of Wands, you're still standing. You're still on your feet. Yeah, you're not gone. You're still breathing. You still got a chance. So you're telling me there's still a chance. From Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. Or was that Dumb and Dumber 2? I don't know. One of those movies. I think probably the first one, because I don't know if I even saw 2. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say about that. And I'm going to leave it there. That twin flame thing, that's it. That shit is killer, boy. When you're in the midst of it, and you, especially back when you didn't know what the hell it was. Now, the new age people know, like you have terms, you have testimonials. You have even, a better knowledge of your past experience. So when you see something on site, that's the reason why people are good. Premium product is less accessible to those that want to siphon energy and be vampiric and stuff, because you when you actually learn from your experiences, it becomes hard to fall into the same traps over, and hopefully, eventually it becomes hard to fall into the same traps and to be glamored, you know what I mean? Pretty much. I don't think that's what I was going to say. What was I going to say? Shoot, I kind of lost my thought. Maybe that was where I was going, but I lost the original thought, to be honest with you, to connect it. But I know that I was looking at this twin flame situation, and it's interesting that that's where we end. It's interesting that that's where we end, because for so many people that's been the catalyst of really everything that you really actually appreciate yourself to become on the other side of it. It's like, well, damn, if I had never met that person or never had this experience, I might never be me. And there's no extra credit to those that intentionally may have put you through the ringer. It's just you know, asserting your power of perspective, and not to, lie to yourself, but what really is true, that who I am now, I was not before that. And I say that even as a personal statement. I am not who I was before I had some of the, the experiences that I had. So if that's what was needed for me to be, so be it. Thank you. Thank you, Kylie. I'm almost positive that's not where I meant to go, but I was probably supposed to end this 15 minutes ago. So I'm going to do that right now. All right. As we hear the sirens in the background, I hope everyone stays safe. First responders and essential workers are so appreciated for their dedication to their professions, because, that keeps the rest of us safe to move around when the time comes. But definitely stay warm. Don't pressure yourself to have anything be any different than what it is right now. That's the one thing about the freeze that I think energetically is supposed to transmit, is what I've been actually saying since the new year, which is just relax. It doesn't say anything bad about you to submit and surrender to that nudge to relax, especially in moments when you don't have any other choice. And there's certainly nothing else that's life or death pressing on you to do otherwise. So don't create obstacles and anxieties for yourself, eagerness even at best for yourself, where it's just not necessary. If the way that this story goes, especially ending on twin flame, and if you consider whatever experience you can relate to on that, when you look, what life is teaching us, and I'm definitely preaching to myself on this, when you look back reflectively, it's a constant reiteration of how things work out the way that they're supposed to, regardless. All you have to do is keep choosing, keep making the the most upright choice you possibly can as you continue to get faced with opportunities to choose. But everything always works out for your good if you allow it to. So in moments like this where we have to sit still, we have to get quiet, we can't just rip and run for the sake of feeling productive and feeling busy. Take advantage of those moments now more than ever, because I really do feel that when we get through all of this snow and ice, it's going to be a breakout spring. It's really going to be a beautiful spring for a lot of folks to really experience how much that they have been blossoming and blooming over, these very trying cycles. I really do feel that way. So, in any event, rest well in your mind if you, for some reason, can't do so physically. Rest easefully spiritually if you can't do so actually. And as for me, I'll be doing both. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, especially if you made it all the way here. And until next time, as always, I leave you with